So you want a MAIN Udyr? The deer? The god deer? Well, do you like deep digging your enemies for affinity style? If the answer is yes, then Udyr, the Spirit Walker, is the champion for you.
Conflict feeds the Freljord.
The most powerful Spirit Walker alive, Udyr communes with all the spirits of the Freljord, whether by empathetically understanding their needs, or by channeling and transforming their ethereal energy into his own primal fighting style. He seeks balance within so that his mind does not get lost amidst the others, but he also seeks balance without, for the Freljord's mystical landscape can only thrive with the growth that comes from conflict and struggle, and Udyr knows that sacrifices must be made to keep peaceful stagnance at bay. A new conflict between an Avarosan and the Winter's Claw War Mother greeted Udyr upon his return to the Freljord. The Avarosan, Ash, it's Ash, wanted to unite the people of the Freljord under a single banner, putting an end to their struggles. Udyr understood that such an action would harm the spirit of the land, and so he decided to offer counsel to the other side, the Winter's Claw. It was Kalkia's headstrong daughter, Sejuani, who greeted him, and he could feel her need for guidance. In time, they came to view one another like family, a surrogate father and daughter, though they would never say it out loud. Before long, the other Spirit Walkers summoned Udyr, and Udyr joined his brethren in the south, listening as they told him of a strange spiritual shift they had each felt. They feared that the Freljord was dying, the spirit of the land itself crumbling from within. Udyr believed that it was the Avarosans, in their efforts to unite the Freljord, that was causing this pain. He told the other Spirit Walkers as much and asked them to fight against the Avarosans' advance alongside the Winter's Claw. Many were skeptical, but others, afraid that Udyr might be right, agreed. With his new spiritual power flowing through him, Udyr raced back to the Winter's Claw to help end this existential threat to the Freljord once and for all. So, his lore is pretty much untouched, which is nice. Let's see if they've preserved Udyr's core design, or pumped him full of two-edged goodness. Udyr's passive is Free Your Mind. Udyr has 4 basic abilities that each grant a stance that empowers next to attacks. Switching stances puts all other abilities on a 1.5 second cooldown. Periodically, after entering a stance, Udyr can recast the ability after a short delay to enter an awakened stance, in which Udyr empowers his next 2 attacks, gaining 30% attack speed and refunding 5% of his passive's cooldown. This is definitely better than his old passive, which was just, you move faster and gain attack speed. Great. Udyr's Q is Bear Claw. Udyr enters Claw stance, and his next 2 attacks deal bonus 80 damage, gain bonus attack speed, and deal bonus on-hit 80 damage for 4 seconds. The Awakened version gains bonus attack speed based on level. The empowered attacks gain 50 range and strike with lightning up to 6 times, dealing magic damage, chaining up to 3 nearby enemies, and bear math. Well, it's no multiple applications, but, it's a solid ability overall. Udyr's W is Double Tap. Udyr gains a shield for 4 seconds. His next 2 attacks gain 15% lifesteal and heal him. The Awakened version increases the shield and heals Udyr for over 4 seconds, doubling the lifesteal and healing. And Iron Math. It's basically Turtle Stance on steroids, and I love that shit, man. Udyr's E is Ram Jam. Udyr's next 2 attacks have an uncancelable wind-up and lunge at the target, stunning them for 0.75 seconds. Udyr also becomes ghosted, gaining bonus movement speed for 4 seconds, decaying over 1.5 seconds. The Awakened version gives Udyr 75 bonus attack range and additional movement speed, and becomes immune to CC for 1.5 seconds, and Ram Math. You just run up and slap him. Just bap him. Just fucking clap him, you know? Udyr's ultimate, well, I guess he doesn't have an ult, technically. Udyr's R is Walking Anivia ult. Udyr summons an ice storm around himself for 4 seconds that deals magic damage and slows enemies. It also empowers his next 2 attacks to cause the storm to pulse, dealing bonus magic damage to nearby enemies. The Awakened version unleashes the storm, causing it to chase nearby enemies, dealing even more magic damage, and Ice Math. Blow your load and slow, boys. Simple as that. But how do I play Udyr? The Deer has always had an interesting playstyle, so we're gonna break it down one time for the one time, so pay attention. Alright, I prefer playing the Deer in the jungle, like the beast he is. So all my tips are gonna be for Udyr jungle. Udyr has a unique playstyle with a lot of different options, so this will be a bit different from usual. In the early game, you got a few choices depending on what you want to build. You can start with a point in either W for a healthier clear, or R for the AoE damage. It's honestly personal preference. Farm up, because your clear is honestly pretty damn good, especially with Awakened R. Don't level Q at all unless you plan on building AD, but in my opinion, a tank build is better, so don't touch Q. I recommend taking Ghost to run people down along with Smite, of course, because you're in the jungle. Mid-game, you should focus on putting pressure on whatever lanes you can to help get your team ahead. Gank when you can, and try to secure objectives like Rift Herald and Dragons where possible. You can solo both as long as your team has priority. I mean, realistically, your best is a tank in the jungle, so you probably won't end up with a lot of kills, but you'll have plenty of assists. If everything goes well, by the time late game rolls around, you'll be a tanky dare running circles around the enemies and setting up for your team. Run and stun, a high priority target, pop R to slow them, and let your team wail on them, and winning is a cinch. For maxing order, I go RWE. R for the slow and AoE damage for clearing camps, W for the shield and sustain, and E for more movement speed. Now Udyr doesn't have a typical ability rotation like most champs, but I recommend engaging with E for the movement speed and stun, then cast R for the damage and slow, and then W for the shield to soak up damage. Any variation of that combo can work, you just gotta feel it out. This is the rune page I like to personally take because it feels good to play. Phase Rush for movement speed to keep running it down, and every other movement speed rune in the sorcery tree. Inspiration Second with Futures Market so you can go into debt, get your item spikes quicker, and Cosmic Insight for Summoner's Spell and Item Haste. You can also go Conqueror for more DPS and healing with the movement speed rune secondary. For builds, you always want to go fast with the Johnny Deere build, but now I prefer Sunfire Cape, but you can go Chem Tank for the move speed, Rush Demonic Embrace second for the max DPS and burn, then just build Resistances and Dead Man's Plate for, you guessed it, more move speed. Now let's talk about matchups. In my opinion, Udyr's 3 worst matchups in the jungle are Rammus, Xin Zhao, and Mordekaiser. Rammus is by far the worst since his W damages you for autoing him, and that's literally like 80% of your damage. And it gets even worse when he gets a Bramble Vest and later a Thornmail. Xin is dangerous because he can kill you early and contest you on Scuttlecrab and objectives since your damage early is pretty much non-existent. Finally, Mordekaiser does insane damage and can just straight up remove your ability to smite objectives by ulting you in the middle of a fight, which is just super annoying. Plus, once he has his Rylai's, he doesn't even have to try to land his Q to kill you. I'm afraid it's slim pickings for Udyr in terms of skins, but the rework gave all of them a fresh coat of paint. We got Cobra Kai, Primal, the original rework. I got no idea who this is. And finally, we got Dragonmancer. His skins are all pretty sweet, but I think the best skin in terms of concept is definitely not Udyr, because it just looks so goofy and fun. Like, we're never getting another skin like this again. But I guess objectively, overall, the best skin is Spirit Guard, because it's the skin that changed the least, and it still looks like old deer. Udyr is a fantastic rework, and probably one of the best reworks Riot has ever released, aside from Mundo. Why did they make him hot? Why did they make him hot? I need answers, seriously. Udyr's new lore and short story are an incredible read and flesh out his character and relationship with Sejuani. Flesh out his relationship with Sejuani, and more background on what's currently happening in the Freljord. Gameplay-wise, they kept this core gameplay intact while bringing him into the current day league and giving him more utility. Winning with him can be pretty hard when going tank since you can't hard carry, but the right team can make anything possible. But don't take my word for it. Try him for yourself. I'm the wild card, and as always, I'll see you on the Rift.